Just across the mighty Mississippi from the famous St. Louis Arch sits a uniquely shaped oval appropriately named Gateway International Raceway. And over the years, this track has provided the gateway to success for many aspiring young hopefuls. We welcome you live to our ESPN coverage of pole qualifying for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And although this track is called Gateway International and sits just across this river from St. Louis, it is actually addressed in Madison, Illinois. Now here's our schedule for the day. Pole qualifying coming your way next, and then 4 hours from now at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, we'll be back with our live coverage of the 200-lap, 250-mile NASCAR Nationwide Series event. Although the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is off this weekend, there are 6 Cup regulars entered, but it's an opportunity week for the young guns. And if you look at yesterday's practice session, you'll see these guys have already established themselves as the favorites for the pole and the race. And I know what you're saying. Reed Sorensen is a Cup regular, but remember, last year's winner here is just 22 years of age. Shannon.
Well, Doc, qualifying 25th today is Reed Sorensen, the driver you were just referring to. His record at this track is definitely something to be admired. But for Sorensen and the number 40 Ganassi team this weekend, it's a weekend of firsts. It's the first time Reed Sorensen is competing with the 40 team. It is the first time that Reed Sorensen will compete with the new tapered spacer, and most importantly, according to crew chief Brad Parrott, it's the first weekend that this number 40 car will not have the yellow rookie stripe on the back of the car. Brad Parrott said that is going to make all the difference. This is the weekend to show what this team can really do. He said, we're here to win it, and it all starts right here in qualifying. Mike Massaro?
Well, Shannon, as good as the 20 team has been this year, and they have been tremendous with 9 victories, crew chief Dave Rogers says there's been some humbling moments. Most recently, a week ago in Chicago with Tony Stewart behind the wheel, they finished 9th. Rogers says they're motivated to put that behind them, and so far, they haven't missed much. They've been among the fastest in each of the practices. Behind the wheel this week, young Joey Logano. And remember, Doc, in 4 starts this year, he's qualified on the pole twice.
Mike, so much young talent getting ready to qualify, folks. 47 cars are lined up here set to go. Along with Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us here in the afternoon heat at Gateway International Raceway. Guys, of the 47 cars that are lined up, if you look at the draw, we could have drama from start to finish in this qualifying session.
Yeah, we sure could. And our last year's pole winner, Scott Wimmer, got the worst draw of the bunch. He's the first one out on the racetrack that's been sitting here all afternoon in 90-degree plus heat. I don't think that's going to bode him very well. But a couple of our other favorites, Joey Logano, David Rudiman, and Landon Castle, all go in the top 15. So it should be very interesting early, but I think the end of the session could also be exciting, Andy.
Yeah, we've got Jamie McMurray now behind the wheel of the 17 car going late, and red hot Brad Keselowski. He's done such a great job here lately, and I know he's going to qualify up front, and he goes late. And last night's fastest car in happy hour was Mike Bliss in the 1 car. So all these guys going late, there'll be some drama towards the end of this thing.
This should be fun to watch. Qualifying in the heat of the day. Remember, they will race later on tonight. When we come back, they will come screaming down this long front straightaway, slam on the brakes, and hope it sticks. Welcome back to Gateway International Raceway. First car beginning to roll here for NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying. As you heard Dale Jarrett say a moment ago, it is not the best draw in the world for last year's pole sitter, Scott Wimmer. The Wausau, Wisconsin driver already has won once this year in his 12 starts, that coming at Nashville, Tennessee back on March 22nd. He shares the car with Jeff Burton. Wimmer will end up driving 23 events the year. Burton will drive 12. They will combine for the full 35 race schedule for the Richard Childress owned car number 29. And guys, a question I have, yesterday in the afternoon heat, Scott Wimmer was 4th quickest. He was the fastest car for a while, but last night in the final practice session, he was down at 17th fastest. Which Scott Wimmer will we see here in this qualifying session?
Well, I'm afraid the racetrack's going to dictate which Scott Wimmer shows up, and we can see, looks like it's a little bit slick. He goes up the racetrack just a little bit, but this track's been sitting in the heat all day. Extreme heat, Dale. What is this going to feel like for Scott?
Terrible, I think. There's not a worse feeling as a race driver to know anytime you have that first draw, but especially when nothing's been happening on the racetrack. We had temperatures yesterday of 102 degrees when they were running. It's 136 on the racetrack right now. So I'm sure he's saying and screaming, I've got no grip whatsoever.
That first lap nowhere close to the fastest lap he ran yesterday, 34:59. You can see he's really struggling with that car.
He is, and he was, even though he was still up off the bottom there, he was lower because I think that first time he drove it in there hoping it was going to stick, and it didn't whatsoever.
Is that what if you're the first guy out, do you feel it out on that first lap, or do you actually just go for it and hope it sticks?
No, I think that you have to feel a little bit of it out, you know. And yesterday these guys were seeing that there wasn't much time difference between the first and second lap, so you could give up that first just a little bit to make sure that the car's going to be under you.
Scott Wimmer, who holds a track record here by virtue of his pole run a year ago, pretty close, 34.60 and 34.64, so he had her wide open.
Exactly.
Yeah, he did. He got all there was that first lap, even though he didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Scott and his team, but it's going to make a great show for us tonight as we get into the race watching him. And, of course, we don't know what the rest of them are going to run right now. It's not like this racetrack's going to cool down a whole lot in this next hour and a half.
That could turn out to be a really great lap, even though it is, like we say, slower than yesterday.
Next car to qualify, the Kevin Harvick Incorporated car. This is Cale Gale, the 23-year-old out of Mobile, Alabama. If you watched our practice show yesterday, you know that his hero in racing is one Tony Stewart. He grew up watching Tony, and he likes the way Tony can hang it out when he has to. Let's see if Cale can hang it out as he goes screaming into one here, hoping it's going to stick and be able to hold the track.
Looks good so far. Looks like the back end's scooting out just a little bit. Whoa, that's more than a little bit there.
That was definitely out, yeah. And he had got back on pace right there with what Scott Wimmer had done, but that cost him a little bit of time down the back straightaway.
Not bashful about driving it in there, though.
Hey, you know, this is what it's all about qualifying. You just got to lay it on the line and get all there is in the car. And, you know, you don't get a couple laps to feel it out. You got to do it right now.
You have to do it now, and these guys realize just how important this is because, I mean, even though this is a long race at 250 miles, they still know that it's going to be difficult to pass out here, and they don't want to start back any further than they have to, so they're going to put it all on the line.
He's got a better lap going this second lap. You can see he's in the green coming down the back stretch.
He's got to beat a 34.59.
Whoa, man, that thing is loose getting in there.
Yeah.
Did a nice job holding on to it, but he lost that time between 3 and 4. Can he get it back up there? Losing time out of 4, and he was underneath what Wimmer ran, so he will come by and clock in at a 34.81. His first lap, 34.65. He is second quick of the two cars that have gone thus far. Back with more live qualifying in just a moment. Back at Gateway International Raceway. Glad to have you with us. Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Shannon Spake, Mike Massaro covering the action on pit road. This is Danny Eflin, the short track ace out of Irmo, South Carolina. Irmo, if you're not familiar where that is, you've heard of Timmonsville, hometown of the legendary Cale Yarborough, just down the road from Timmonsville. Danny, an accomplished short track driver there at Timmonsville Raceway and getting a chance to make hopefully his 11th start in the NASCAR Nationwide Series.
See, he was a little bit careful getting down into the corner and making sure he's got his car completely under him. Yeah, he doesn't want to let a chance like this to start another race get in the way. He doesn't want to make it any more eventful than he has to, and so he get him a good starting spot here, a reasonable starting spot, and then go race tonight. That's what's important to him, of getting the laps tonight.
Getting the valuable experience on this racetrack. He ran here a year ago, started 33rd, and only got to run a few laps. He was credited with a 43rd place finish, dead last because of an electrical issue, so he never got much experience here on this track last year in the summer heat.
He's going to get some this year. He's guaranteed to be in the race now just by being in the points, and he can just get he's got a conservative lap going here, but he will be in the race tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a good half second if he makes it off turn 4.
We were just saying he's being conservative. He must have heard us. Picked it up just a little bit.
Another one of the young guns, just 19 years of age, and he is third right now of the 3 cars that are going out to qualify. Let's check in with Shannon, who's standing by with our provisional pole sitter.
Well, that's right, Doc. Provisional pole sitter and test pilot for this racetrack. The guys in the booth were speculating as to what it must be like out there right now. So tell us what it was like to go out on that first qualifying run.
Yeah, it was pretty slick. You know, you always worry a little bit being the first car out if there's anything out there and they blow the track and all that. But pretty happy with the Holiday Inn Chevrolet all weekend. We mocked up a little faster than that, but I think track temperature is quite a bit hotter. So hopefully we'll have a good run tonight. It's my son's birthday, so I got to wish him happy 3rd birthday. And maybe we'll bring a win home for him tonight.
Well, what a great birthday present that would be, a win for Scott Wimmer, guys.
Family watching back in Wausau. Got to believe Scott's going to really try hard to bring that one home. Here's Kelly Byers, a 23-year-old driver from Wisconsin. Speaking of Wisconsin drivers, Kelly had a good run at Chicagoland last week. Ran in the top 10 for much of the night. Ended up, struggling toward the finish. Out of the top 10, got a top 15 finish though.
Got a little different paint scheme this week. That light blue and white. Got a pretty good lap going right here.
Came here a year ago, qualified 9th. Ended up with a 24th place finish.
Like those 3460s is about all the track will take right now. Now, there's another one.
And again, it's not like it's going to get any better because we're at a time of the day that it's not going to cool down here at this racetrack. So even though Scott Wimmer had the worst draw of the bunch, he still may be okay. But Kelly Byers is trying to take care of that right now. He got a little bit high in the middle of 3 and 4 there and cost him a little bit of time, but he's going to be close.
It may have cost him just a little bit of time on the exit.
Oh,
just misses it.
Just does miss it. 34.60. And that is second quickest behind Wimmer and in front of Cale Gale and Danny Eflin. Why don't we check in the pits where Mike Massaro is standing by with Bobby Hamilton Jr.
And Doc, Bobby and I just talking about the topic of the day, and of course that being the heat right now. And racetrack a lot hotter today than it was during practice yesterday. That said, what do you expect when you get out there?
You know, I don't know because we freed our car up for tonight. Last year we got so tight during the race, we had to free it up. So I'm expecting to be loose, really loose, because we put a couple rubbers in the right rear, went up on the track bar, on the left side of the track bar, which is going to free it up from center out. And I'm kind of curious. So, but I guarantee I'll be the first to know when I get down in there if it worked for us or not.
It would seem, looking at past results here at Gateway, that track position is everything. How critical is it from your perspective?
It is, because it's just one of those racetracks. If I can leave pit road and be first, or if I could, as long as you stay out front all night long, it's going to be just that much easier on you. The place is so tight. The corners are so tight. The chassis are so tight around here. You're so fast here that you just have to have a perfect car. And if I can get out in front and not have to fool with passing you or get away from the guy behind me, that's all I got to worry about. It's going to make it easier for me. Clean air, the whole works. So it's just another one. It's one of the fastest short tracks we go to. So we just got to get through this day. Not tear nothing up. Get the Eckridge car, do what we can up close front and get us a good run on it.
Well, Doc, Bobby was pretty honest. He says he doesn't really have a shot at the pole, but he expects to be close to the top 10.
And he runs awfully well here, too. Has 2 top 5 finishes. Talking about Bobby Hamilton Jr. in his last 3 starts here. Now on the racetrack is Eric McClure in the hefty Chevrolet. Yeah, he is the son of Jerry McClure, the nephew of Larry McClure, the Morgan McClure race team, one of the legendary teams out of Abingdon, Virginia.
Listening to Bobby Hamilton there. I'm not the director or producer of this show or anything.
Loose in and no grip through the center.
But listening to Bobby Hamilton, I'm pretty sure, I know we have to have commercials, but I'm pretty sure we'll watch Bobby Hamilton qualify after all of that he was saying.
Yeah, that's a good bet. That's a good bet. We talk about the young drivers coming here and trying to be able to build on their successes. Well, it doesn't get much better than the young man who was able to take his car to victory lane in his 3rd start in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Turn back the clock. Kentucky Speedway, he was on the pole for the 2nd week in a row, and the question was, would we have another first-time winner? And indeed it was. And what a great Father's Day present for Tom Logano. His boy, Joey, at 18 years, 21 days, became the youngest winner in NASCAR Nationwide Series history.
I know he hasn't qualified much. This is only his 5th attempt at this with these race cars. And at a racetrack that he's making his first start at in this car. But I believe that we're going to see what the racetrack has now, because he's in the car that's been the dominant car in this series the entire year.
It looked like he drove in that corner real smart. He didn't try to get more than there was available. And you can see it's really paid off for him right here. He's well down in the green. You see him just still picking up speed. Dave Rogers is going to be happy when he sees this lap right here.
Yeah, that's very impressive right here.
Yeah, that's a 34 flat. That's real close to what a lot of these guys ran last night. That's a great lap.
A little bit loose right there in the center of the corner. Looked like he tried to get a little bit more out. Sometimes that's the way race drivers are. You know, you got something pretty good, and
he's getting some more here. You can see he's in the green. He may be able to improve on that.
I think that's one of the things that makes him really good is, Andy, we've talked a lot over the years about these drivers that can drive and slip that right rear tire the most, and he definitely was slipping it down in 1 and 2, but he still got something out of it, and he's going to run just a little bit faster.
He ran a 33.91 in the heat yesterday. Let's see if he can.
397. Good job, buddy. You're the man.
Indeed, I couldn't have said it better. 33.97, and that puts himself on the pole thus far in qualifying. 18 years, 21 days when he got the win at Kentucky. First driver born in the 1990s to win a race. I've got shirts older than that. He's got 1 win, 2 poles, and 3 top 10s in 4 career starts. And yeah, you can read as well as I can. How impressive is this young man? And we'll watch what he's going to do here later tonight. Back at Gateway International Raceway, NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying ongoing. Here's the 99 car of David Rudiman. And I've been saying all weekend, here's a guy you got to watch out for. Now, you got to watch out for turn 1 there, but watch out for this car. He was very good in this race a year ago and led a bunch of laps.
He's looking at this as being a huge opportunity for this team, too. And looking at what we've seen, a lot of these dyno numbers say that this car, at least recently, has had some of the best horsepower numbers. And I talked to Jerry Baxter. You see him standing there on the right. And he's feeling some pressure to get this team in victory lane because they have the tools it takes to get there, and the driver, they just feel like they need to execute well.
Yeah, they've been knocking on the door. That first lap's not what they were looking for, but David's one that likes to drive the car down in the corner. You saw him get up the racetrack a little bit in turns 1. He's down on the track a lot more here on his second lap. And that's going to pay off for him a lot better. We saw him get loose in 3 and 4 the last time also, so I would expect him to correct that a little bit here. I know that their car is probably set up for the race more because they did run well here and they knew exactly what it was going to take, that you had to be a lot freer.
That's the thing. This race is going to be run when it's dark, and you see a little smoke coming off that right front right there. That's probably because they're traveling the car so much, but you've got to start the cars so free in this race to be good when it gets dark and the track gets all the grip that it makes this qualifying so hard.
Outside front row, David Rudiman, 34.27. He finished third here a year ago, and he might just start on the front row when we go to the green flag here tonight. Speaking of coming up with our coverage, how about some NHRA Shucks Auto Supply Nationals qualifying action coming up 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. We will follow that with live flag-to-flag nationwide series racing here at Gateway at 9 Eastern time. Over to ABC for Honda IndyCar Grand Prix at Mid-Ohio tomorrow 1:30 Eastern time. NHRA Nationals Finals tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And, of course, Dale Jr. shifting gears Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern time, all about all that he went through, the turmoil of going from the family-owned team over to Hendrick Motorsports. Here's the 9 car, the Gillette Evernham Motorsports car number 9. Their young driver, Chase Miller. And folks, I know a lot of the NASCAR Sprint Cup teams are taking the weekend off, but not the case over there for Gillette Evernham Motorsports. Their employees, I guess, hosted soldiers of the local North Carolina National Guard units, on Friday night at their shop. Over 100 uniformed troops, their families and friends enjoyed food, pit stop demonstrations, entertainment, and more. And the folks there, Mark McCardle, the team vice president, said, we just wanted to be able to give back. We don't have many weekends off, and rather than going home, we said, why don't we give back to the men and women in uniform and their families who, and this unit, by the way, was headed over to be deployed overseas in a few months. They wanted to be able to say thank you before they left. And so a great honor for the Gillette Evernham team to be able to host those people here last night.
Yeah, hats off to Gillette Evernham and those guys. We really do appreciate these troops and what they're doing for our country.
See what Chase Miller can do with his Dodge.
He had a better lap going though on the second lap until he got to turns 3 and 4, Andy.
Yeah, it looks like they just so much grip. There's only there's just enough available grip to go through there. And these guys that step over that line, it just costs you so much time coming off the corner.
As Chase slows down, he's 5th of the 8 cars that have gone so far. How about the guy who's number 1 thus far? Shannon.
Yeah, that's right, Joey Logano. This is a track that you've never raced at before. You were one of the first guys to go out. Mentally, how do you prepare for that moment before you go out to run your qualifying lap?
Oh, well, pretty much the same as I do every other place, to go out there and wing it. And pretty much, you know, I play some games, so I got from GameStop, try to practice on the place a lot. But, you know, it's just kind of one of those things, you know, just go out there and give us all you got. And, you know, car was pretty good. I was surprised how much grip it had, actually. I thought it was going to be a little bit looser. I was still loose into the corner, but, you know, I think that's okay. I'm not sure if that'll hold up or not, but I don't know. We'll see.
Now, I know, Joey, before you made your first start, you were the first one here in the morning, could not sleep a night before the race. What have the last 3 weeks been like, and what was this morning like coming to the racetrack?
I'm the same deal. All the time. I got my Nintendo DS, which I got today, and I've been playing that all day, so that's been really cool. And, you know, I try to keep myself busy, but I'm up and ready to go. They laughed at me in the trailer before we came out. It was about half hour before qualifying. They're like, let's go. And I want to sit out in the heat, but I'm ready to go. So it's kind of funny, but I love racing. This is what I do.
All right, Doc, and I've got to show you this glove of Joey's here as well. You can tell that sliced bread. You might not be able to figure out what that is, but that right there, that white part, is actually sliced bread with some wheels and some fire coming off the wheels. And yes, these are Joey's gloves. So, like you said, Doc, he just goes out there and wings it.
What do you want to bet that some of those will be on eBay pretty soon there? Let's see what's happening with Kenny Wallace, talking about the great Wallace family from right here in St. Louis, Missouri. Kenny, the younger of the 3 brothers. And he's a 2-time most popular driver, 9-time winner in the series.
That's pretty good right there. Kenny Wallace and his team, they really struggled yesterday with this car. I spent some time with Kenny last night at a little dirt track event we did, and he was really disappointed with what they did. But they came in here today and changed everything in the front end of this race car, and boy, did he seemed to be really happy with it, and it's a lot better.
First time I've had a race car this year. Thank you.
Herman's excited. That's good to hear, and at a perfect place for him, too.
And they had a crew chief change this week, by the way. Kenneth Campbell, the veteran, coming over to sort of lead the team there. And for Jay Robinson, and maybe sometimes it is a little bit of a chemistry change. You can't tell that Kenny was very excited, though, could you?
He hides it real well.
Yeah.
All right, here's the one you talked about, DJ. We heard Bobby Hamilton Jr. say, folks, you're going to watch this. This could be an adventure because this young man is going to go for it.
He's going to drive it hard. There's no doubt about that. But you can tell there's a little apprehension in his voice there as to what may happen with this. When you make a lot of changes and you go out on a very hot, slick racetrack, that is the worst condition. I think we see Bobby driving the car straighter into the corner right there than what most of the guys have been, because he was literally expecting this car to be extremely loose, especially with the track bar and putting the rubbers in the right rear spring. So he wasn't going to arc it down into that first corner too much.
That is a defensive move by a driver when you feel like the car's going to be loose, is not to arc your car into the corner.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can solve a lot of looseness problem by driving the car straighter into the corner. You might have to turn it a little bit more in the center, and it might cost you a lot, but you made it to that point, and then you can be a little braver in that second lap. But he doesn't have a bad lap here his first time.
That's third quickest, not bad at all. 34-39 for little Bobby, given all the changes, and a bit of a glimmer of a smile from Chris Wright, the crew chief.
He got a better lap going right here too. You can see the tracker showing him just a little bit faster down the backstretch than he was the first lap. You see that dip? If he can take that little dip out of it, he's still losing just a little bit of time there.
Got back to the gas pretty good. It's going to be maybe a little bit quicker here.
He's got to beat a 27 to get it to the second spot to beat Rudeman. And he will not do it. He's quicker, though, 34-33. He's still third overall of the 10 cars that have gone. And I got to believe that considering everything he was battling and all the changes, Bobby Hamilton Jr. is going to be very pleased with that run in qualifying here in the heat of the day at St. Louis. David Reagan, last year's Rookie of the Year, coming next to qualify. And, of course, how about the youngster himself, 19-year-old Landon Castle? Those and more in just a moment. Back in Madison, Illinois, Gateway International Raceway, NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying ongoing. Next car to go out, the 32 car. And this is a young man you may not have heard much of, but remember the name, James Busher.
Man, the car was just a little bit more than out of control than he anticipated.
Carried a lot of speed down into the corner and got high up out of the corner and didn't make it off the corner.
Nah, just bring it in.
Yeah. I started to remember the name.
Did not turn. One stick of the throttle did not turn at all.
That's Trent Owens, the crew chief there, talking to James, and we just mentioned the fact was only going to make his 4th ever start, and he comes out of the corner and he just doesn't stick.
No, but they usually don't up there, and you know sometimes you gotta use a little bit of throttle control there and come out of it just a little bit, because you do have temperatures. You can hear he was out of it, but he was up in the no man's land there.
Yeah, once you get up out of that bottom, off that groove, there's a lot of traction, and he just doesn't have enough grip to get the car to turn. And man, that's a hard angle into that corner. I mean, into that wall coming off that corner.
Another one of the young guns, just 18 years of age, only in fact turned 18 back in the middle of March, trying to make his 4th start. May not happen here tonight. Back at Gateway International, NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying ongoing. David Reagan, Rookie of the Year a year ago. Boy, he came here last year as a rookie and ran very well. Started 21st, came all the way up and ran in the top 4 for the last 30 laps. Ended up slipping back and finishing 5th at the checkered flag. But considering his first run here in a nationwide car, pretty impressive 5th place finish.
Yeah, this lap so far, he's going to start a lot better this year than he did last year.
Yeah, exactly right. And he's battling for the pole position. And this is a young man that I look for tonight to be a factor. I think that he and his team have improved enough that they have a chance to win this race tonight.
A lot of it comes down to communication, and when you go down to the garage here, I know Andy, you and I and DJ have been down there watching, but this guy here, the crew chief, Mike Kelly and David Reagan, do a great job of getting together and doing a lot of face-to-face talking about setups on these cars.
They've got a good chemistry going, and it has proven to be, you know, very consistent results that they're getting here. They just haven't broken through that little threshold to get that win.
David's career best finished 3rd at Memphis a year ago. He's got a couple of 4th place finishes this year. Still looking for that elusive first victory here. And as DJ said, that he's one of the guys everybody in the garage here said could be a major factor tonight. First time by, he was 2nd quickest and a little bit slower 2nd time by. So right now he will hold that spot on the outside front row beside Joey Logano. Let's go down to Shannon Spade.
Well, I'm here with Kenny Wallace, and you could hear the excitement in his voice after his qualifying run. Kenny, how good is this hot rod of yours today?
Well, first of all, nobody was supposed to hear me. I get so excited every once in a while when things go good. I talked to Andy Petrie last night. He knows the way I felt. I've been completely devastated all year long. I've had no fun, and just really trying to turn things around with the U.S. Border Patrol Chevrolet. And to be honest, we had major front-end geometry issues, and we had it last night. And finally got a little bit of help, and the team got together. And I think what helped us is the right front tire. We wore it into the cords in 30 laps. And so we all opened our eyes up and changed the front end around a lot drastically. And so we just took a stab at it. And I knew coming to get the green flag, I had a race car. Now we'll just see how the race goes. But this is a step in the right direction for me. I'm sorry I was so excited. I just haven't had a car drive that good in ages.
We love to hear the excitement in your voice, Kenny. Kenny, St. Louis boy here at Gateway. Guys?
Absolutely. Good to see Kenny smiling. And a moment ago, it looked like Landon Castle would be smiling. He's up there in the green area, now slipped down below the line in the red.
He's going to be our in-race reporter. You see, boy, he's really hooking the bottom good in that corner. And you can see it come up in the green, just like he did the first lap, but he loses just a little bit when he hits the straightaway.
Yeah, it cost him a little bit of time by keeping it down there. He slows down, I think, just a little bit more, even though he makes that time going in there and through the center. It cost him a little bit of time on the exit of the corner, but still a really good lap. And a while ago, I didn't realize that was Kenny Wallace's radio that we heard. I just thought we could hear him in the car.
He doesn't need to apologize for being enthusiastic.
That might not have been a microphone, knowing Kenny. 3rd overall for Landon Castle, the 19-year-old, qualified 6th here a year ago and was running 6th. Just past the halfway point, and he got a little issue on the racetrack. And again, if you want to pose a question for Landon Castle tonight, Dale Jarrett will ask a question on the pace lap, so you can log on to ESPN.com, keyword Ask the Driver, to have your question answered by tonight's in-race reporter, Landon Castle. Let's check in the pits with Mike.
And Mike Wallace now climbing into his car. And Mike, obviously a homecoming weekend for you as well. I know you've done some pretty neat things, including throwing out the first pitch at Busch Stadium. What's been the highlight so far?
I think the real highlight of besides throwing out the first pitch at the Cardinal ballgame, was meeting Albert Pujols, who's the first baseman, you know, superstar, Hall of Famer. And he was just so incredibly nice to my son Matt and I. He gave us a signed bat, some signed gloves, batting gloves, and just here's a guy who's a superstar proportion 45 minutes before the game going, hey, you want some pictures? And it was nice enough to go to his locker, bring us a bat back. But that was probably the highlight. Then I got to throw the pitch out, you know, and Dale Jarrett seen me on the big screen as he was turning into his hotel. He asked me, he says, hey, what were you doing at the ballpark? He said, I seen this big screen picture over, she's getting ready to turn, and there you are. So we just had a great weekend. It's really been fun, really exciting. I was really nervous about 30 minutes ago. My daughter Chrissy was in Kentucky qualifying. She qualified 12th for the truck race tonight, so excited about that now. And now, as the guy said, it's time for Dad to go step up to the table, and we're going to go get us a big lap here.
And that's right. That would certainly be the highlight this weekend if he were able to put this up close to the front, Doc. They told me before he climbed in, they've got an incredible race car.
He was one of the cars yesterday, one of the fastest cars in the afternoon session, talking about Mike Wallace. Here's another one of the youngsters, 20-year-old Brad Coleman, Houston, Texas. Pole sitter a year ago at Talladega, driving for Joe Gibbs. Best start this year was 4th at Daytona a few weeks ago here back on July 4th. Let's see what he can do. First time by, he was 6th quickest.
Slows down on the second lap, so he'll stay 6th.
I think watching the track there that a lot of people are almost equal to Logano, or maybe even beat him a little bit in 1 and 2. But when you get to 3 and 4, he must have made a really good corner there, because that's where everybody seems to be losing to him.
If you just joined our coverage, the incident that we've had, the only incident thus far in qualifying was the 32 car, 18-year-old James Busher coming out of turn 2, and that was the slot and the impact into the concrete. And as I said, that car won't make it tonight, and indeed it will not, because they are down in the garage area unloading the backup car. From the Braun Racing team, Trent Owens and company will get that car down, and they are guaranteed a starting spot by virtue of being in the top 30 in owners' points.
Yeah, they'll just have to get this car ready. They don't have a lot of time. They'll have to get it down here and get to work on it and start in the rear tonight. And that's a big setback when you lose your primary car and you don't have much turnaround time.
And do you have to go through the same process as far as inspection to get that car out that you normally would?
Oh, yeah. They have to go through the total inspection process and get the car ready to race if they don't have it ready already, unloading it off the truck. So it's a big setback and a lot of work and a pretty hot day to be doing that. These guys down there in the garage area are going to be working really tough.
Jason Leffler, new crew chief with the team with this car. Todd Losey's been over with the other car, coming back to work on the 38 for Jason, who finished 4th in this race here a year ago.
4th quick on that first lap, but he lost a little bit getting into turn 1. This second lap is going to be a little bit slower.
It looked like he had a good feel. He tried to drive in a little harder there, let the car roll a little bit faster, and got up the racetrack.
This car looks real harsh over the bumps, too, like they're sitting on the springs pretty hard. And that might be good when you got a lot of grip in the racetrack, but on a slick racetrack, that really does hurt.
Checkered flag for Leffler, and he is slower second time by. Andy, you talked about the bumps and the moving up and down. That cost him 0.3 of a second. So he will hold that first lap, which puts him still right now 4th overall of the 15 cars that have gone out. By the way, for you Derek Cope fans, Derek Cope was on the 5-minute clock, did not get the car ready to go out and qualify, so he will not be allowed to go out to qualify in the 4 car. Next car to go out, Marcus Ambrose. Big news this weekend for Marcus, the 31-year-old from Tasmania, down near the Australian, southern Australia area. It's an island just off the coast of Australia. In that Marcus will be able to go cup racing next year with a friend of ours.
Yeah, Brad Daugherty has joined up with Tad Geschecter, Jody Geschecter, and they're going to go cup racing with this guy. I know Marcus is really excited about it, and we saw him really put on a show in Sonoma earlier this year, so he might have what it takes.
Yeah, qualified 7th at Sonoma, was the fastest car in the last practice session prior to sliding off in the tulips there on that one little incident there late in the session, but the speed still stood.
Yeah, he did a great job for the Wood brothers out there, and obviously showed his prowess on the road course. And he's still working and learning these ovals, but they feel like the opportunity is there for them to get into the cup side of it, and he'll jump in and see what he can do.
That's jumping out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah, exactly.
If they awarded championships based on attitude, this guy right here would get a bunch of them. He may have one of the best attitudes of anybody I've seen come in the sport in recent years.
Yeah, we even hear drivers like Mike Wallace when he was so upset at Daytona, saying, "I'm gonna pull a Marcus Ambrose. I'm gonna maintain my cool." So that's pretty neat when you got people like that, veterans in the sport that want to be like you.
referring back to how Marcus handled the unfortunate being spun out at Montreal a year ago, and he looked to be on his way to a sure win. Ambrose, 2 laps, is quicker of the two the first time by 34.466. That puts him 9th overall of the 17 cars that have presented for qualifying this afternoon. Back with more in just a moment. Qualifying ongoing here at Gateway International Raceway. Shane Huffman, the Hickory, North Carolina driver, getting an infrequent start, getting to make his second start of the year, this time driving the 81 car for Randy McDonald. And good effort for Shane, 9th quickest of the cars that have gone out thus far to qualify.
Yeah, that's pretty good lap for Shane. Getting back in this series. I know he's really excited to be back behind the wheel. He's been around the series, but he's been in the garage area. This is a great opportunity to get behind the wheel.
Yeah, we were talking to him yesterday, and he was just appreciative to have the opportunity to get to race in this series again, and looking forward to showing what he can do. And he had a great pickup on the second lap as we have Mike Wallace out on the track now.
Well, he's showing what he can do. He's got a great lap going right here.
Later on tonight in our countdown show, Mike's going to take us a little tour of his hometown here, show us some of the special places where the Wallace family got their start in racing and some of the highlights of the city. Right now, the highlight he wants is to put that Toyota on the pole. Bruce Crook, his crew chief there watching.
He's 5th fastest on that first lap, but I like the way this car looks. This car's got a, well, I did till right then.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be good for the race because it's not really harsh over the bumps, and it looked like it was very, I call it compliant through all those bumps, and I think that's going to pay off for him.
Yeah, I watched him some yesterday in practice, Andy, and he ran a lot of laps a couple of different times, and his car was right around the bottom the whole time. It looked like that's what his intentions were, to make that car work there. And I think in talking to him, he feels like that he did that, and that's going to benefit him tonight.
Well, the little bobble cost him 0.4 of a second, but that first lap good enough, 34.183, to be 5th overall of those that have qualified. How about let's go down and check in with Shannon, with the guy right now on the front row.
Well, it's an off weekend for the Cup guys, but David Reagan, he is one of the nationwide drivers as well, competing for a championship here. How much of a benefit is it for you guys having you here with no other distractions, no Cup stuff, to just work on your nationwide program?
Well, I mean, it's just kind of a fresh air. It's nice to be able to go to the nationwide garage and hang out with my Discount Tire team and not have to worry about going back and forth. And, you know, I feel like I'm not doing something right when I just show up to the track and just kind of hanging out in the truck or hanging out in the motorhome, and feel like I need to be outside and on the racetrack doing something. But, you know, very good Ford Fusion this weekend. Everyone on the Discount Tire teams put a lot of effort into this weekend because, you know, everybody's watching us tonight. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, well, right now, David Reagan is 6th, so if it stays the way it is, he'll be on the front row for tonight. Mike?
And with Brad Keselowski, and you say you didn't make any mock runs during practice. Why not?
Well, you know, it's not really useful. Obviously, the weather today is way different than it was last night. So that just gives you a false sense of hope. So I think we've got a great U.S. Navy Chevrolet. We didn't really need to do a mock qualifying run to prove that. I know with my team that we'll have one every week. So I'm just excited to go qualify here, see if we can't make a run for the front row.
Any idea what you do have for the pole?
No, but it's hard telling on these deals. You just you take what you got and try to make the most of it and try not to make any mistakes.
Well, Doc, despite not taping up and making a mock run, he was one of the fastest guys in practice yesterday afternoon.
Mike, exactly. We'll watch for him. He'll be one of the guys going late, so this session's going to have drama all the way to the end. Here's Brendan Witt, the 25-year-old from El Cajon, California, trying to make his second start. He won in the NASCAR Truck Series at Memphis back in '05. Got the first short track win for Toyota. Now trying to make his second start in the Nationwide Series. Pretty good drivers have coming from El Cajon. Isn't there a guy that won the Cup championship?
Yeah, I thought there was some Johnson guy from El Cajon.
Jimmy Johnson, 2-time Cup champion, is from El Cajon. And of course, Brandon, one of Brandon's heroes growing up out there. Well, NASCAR Nationwide Series, young gun Joey Logano looks to see if he can put the number 20 car back in victory lane. Could they go for win number 10 and tie the record for one car in a season? Of course, points leader Clint Boyer is here. Carl Edwards, last year's winner Reed Sorensen, and more. All the action coming your way, beginning with NASCAR Countdown at 9 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN2 tonight. Speaking of Wallace family, and of course the second generation, make it third generation driver. Stephen Wallace, the son of Rusty and Patty Wallace, 20-year-old from Charlotte. Seeing what he can do, and boy, wouldn't Mom and Dad love to see this young man get a win here, right here, and where it all began for the Wallace family in the city of St. Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis is the big time home for these guys. They love coming up here. They go do all kinds of things around this racetrack. A lot of things, like at the local short track last night, we went to a dirt track and I actually raced with these guys, Mike Wallace, Stephen Wallace, and Kenny Wallace. Man, he's got a good lap right there, second quick. 34.03.
Yeah, he drove it off into turn 1 pretty hard, and it stuck pretty good because he still has it right now going down the backstretch. This will be the telling point right here. This seemed to be where Joe Logano was better than everyone else.
It seemed like right there, getting into 3 is where Joe Logano was the best, and his car was kind of hung out when he drove it into that corner.
Back up in the green, back in the red, right there on the mark for Logano. If he can get it back, and first time by. And second time by can't quite do it. 34.036 and a little slower second time by. But right now, Stephen Wallace, at 20 years of age, would share the front row with an 18-year-old. How about that for the future of this series?
Road turned 1 and 2. Got a little tight on me there.
He knows what he did, so it hurt him there, and he'll learn from that the next time. But what a great story this would be. I mean, I know Rusty and Patty are home right now. I'm sure they're watching this, and they're excited about the prospects of him starting up front and having an opportunity. Even though, he didn't grow up here in this area, he knows how much it means to his family.
In fact, we're going to have an onboard camera with Steve tonight. Steve and Mike and Kenny, all three of the Wallaces will be carrying high-definition onboard cameras. Here is our points leader, Clint Boyer, coming in with a 183-point lead over Brad Keselowski. Clint has never won at this racetrack. He does have a second-place finish. And just ran way up across the racetrack there, sort of, I guess, although
it's working for him. He got a good run off turn 2, and it carried all the way down the backstretch. But here again, getting into turn 3 is where Joey Logano was so hard to beat. But right here coming off the corner, Clint might have enough. I don't know.
Yeah, he had to squeeze a little bit there. He got kind of wide. Didn't quite get there. Second fastest.
Well, they're nipping right on the heels of Joey Logano's time. Nobody quite able to get into that 33-second bracket yet.
This is the type of racetrack, though, that you think about it, you think about Clint Boyer, that he excels at. Places like Richmond and Phoenix, you just think of these flatter racetracks, that he really makes his car go around the bottom and gets good forward bite off the corner, which is what he lacked a little bit of on the first lap to try to take the pole away.
Looks like he got the goodie off the tires that first lap. He's going to run just a little bit slower here on the second. But, wow, that's a pretty good first lap.
Looks like he might start where he finished a year ago. He finished second here last July. Right now, he is second quickest of those that have gone out to qualify. By the way, 5 former winners at this race have gone on to become NASCAR Nationwide Series champions, and I know Clint Boyer would like to make it 6, pulling off the victory here tonight. We just joined our coverage. There are 47 cars here at Gateway International Raceway, just across the river from St. Louis in Madison, Illinois. 47 cars attempting to qualify. 43 will start. And thus far, Joey Logano, the 18-year-old on the pole. Clint Boyer, the points leader outside. Stephen Wallace is third. David Reagan fourth. Landon Castle is fifth.
There's another hometown boy that would love to get a win here.
Is it just me, or is it about half the field from this area that's looking to do well here tonight?
133 miles away, Carl Edwards, and if you'll tune in tonight at 9 o'clock on Countdown, we will show you how he got here to the racetrack. He didn't come by car. We'll give you that as a clue.
Check this out. He had a full 10th on Joey Logano down the backstretch. See if he can hold it through 3 and 4.
He might get to the pole by this car.
I think he's got it. This one will do it. Yeah, great lap. He's in the 80s, 33, 88, 89.
Well, I guess now everybody next week's going to be riding bikes over to the track. You see, this is a monkey see, monkey do business, isn't it? So whatever we think somebody's got a little advantage, we're going to do that too. That's a great lap to go out there. He was fast last night in the final practice too, and I think most of that was in race setup. So this bodes really well for him tonight and his chances.
It's really close again here on the second lap. It's going to be just a tick slower. Still 33.92. He could have got the pole with the second lap.
Already a 2-time pole sitter this year. He won the pole at Darlington and also at Dover, and trying to get it done here at Gateway.
All right, good work.
Each one of those flags represents a pole position that these teams have earned, and that's 2 flags you see flying on the back of Carl Edwards' hauler.
As he slows down, let's check out in the pits where Shannon is caught up with Stephen Wallace.
Well, so far the highest qualifier right now of the Wallace family is Stephen Wallace. I know your dad, Rusty, is at home. Go ahead and tell him how the car is. How's it going to be in the race tonight?
Yeah, well, I feel like our Jimmy John's Chevrolet is pretty good. You know, we were pretty good there in practice. I was real happy with the car. We got to handle it pretty good. We're just a little too tight there in qualifying to, you know, to really lay the number we wanted down. But that was a pretty good number. We're 4th right now, so that'll give us a good top 10 starting spot. You know, that's what we're looking for. But you know, most importantly, I feel like my car's driving really, really good in race trim. So hopefully we can give old St. Louis hometown crowd here something to cheer for, and thank all the people at Jimmy John's. So that'd be cool.
Have you been pretty busy this weekend here in St. Louis doing stuff with your family?
You know what? Not too bad. I've been doing a lot of dirt racing there with my Uncle Kenny the past 2 nights. So just been kind of like relaxing, you know, having a lot of fun doing that. But so far, so good.
Doc?
Thank you, Shannon. Reed Sorensen coming by, and he will put his car, he puts Dodge on the pole thus far, 33.83.
I don't know what it is about this racetrack that he really takes to. He could just be having a so-so season and come here and just be the car to beat.
Won this race a year ago, dominated in this race, leading 95 laps from the outside front row, won this race in 05. DJ, what is it about certain drivers and some racetracks?
You know, it's just like any other sport. You know, some people like different golf courses that they play and like to do that. He's actually going to run faster on his second lap here by just a little bit, just in case anybody thought that was a fluke on the first one. But you just get a feel for what you want in the race car. That's the biggest thing. And if you can convey that to the crew, then they can work towards making that happen. And obviously Reed has a great feel for this place and what he's wanting in the car. I think things have cooled off a little bit. You know, the wind's picked up. We don't have much cloud cover there, but it seems like that things have cooled down, and we've been told that the track temperature has cooled down a little. So does that have something to do with the last couple of cars running faster? Probably a little bit.
Boy, Chip Ganassi's team can really use this shot in the arm. Maybe a pole here and maybe a win. Remember, Dodge hasn't won this year in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Chip, by the way, congratulations. 100 career wins as an owner. He got that win with Scott Dixon in IndyCar last week at Nashville, Tennessee. And I remember last year, Reed Sorensen used the win here to propel him momentum-wise to go sit on the pole a week later at the Brickyard 400. Here's Jason Keller in his Chevrolet, but a bit of news coming out of this camp this week.
Yeah, they're excited. They've got an alliance now with starting next year with Joe Gibbs Racing and obviously with Toyota, and they're really excited about this, and they feel like that this is going to put them into that top tier that they're looking to get. That they really like working with Jason Keller, who has a phenomenal record here, and so they looked at not only that being a positive for them in the future, but this weekend being an opportunity for them to get to victory lane.
Yeah, and this is one thing that these single car teams just seem to be fighting an uphill battle and don't really have a way to gain that. This is just perfect for that team to be able to come in here with a team like Joe Gibbs. You get so much with an alliance like that you just really can't hardly go out and buy.
Todd Gordon, the crew chief there, was talking about they came here and pulled off one of the big upsets in Gateway history when they brought a young driver by the name of Scott Riggs to victory lane. He only led the last lap, but that was the important one. As Todd Gordon helped engineer that win, he would love to be able to get Jason Keller in victory lane tonight.
Well, he's in the top 6 so far. That's a pretty good lap right there, 34.04.
Well, we told you Reed Sorensen has a good record at this racetrack, folks. If you don't believe us, let's show you some of his highlights. Back in 2005, he came here, sat on the outside front row, led 60 laps, and won the race. And then 1 year ago, again, on the outside front row, here comes the young man. This time he would lead 95 laps in dominating fashion to take the Ganassi Sabatos Dodge to victory lane again at Gateway. Back in Madison, Illinois, Gateway International Raceway, NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying, the 22 car. That is Josh Wise out of Riverside, California, a Michael Waltrip racing employee, but driving a Dodge here for Armando Fitz. Let's check in on the pits where Shannon is caught up with our provisional pole sitter.
All right, well, Reed Sorensen just said you feel like it could have gone better. Was you talking about your qualifying lap? And if so, where do you felt like it could have gone better?
Just in 1 and 2. And that's where I felt like our car's been pretty strong, you know, yesterday all day, and just didn't get through 1 and 2 like I wanted to. I kind of missed the corner a little bit, but it looks like a lot of people did. And I went in there and I thought I lifted about a car length and a half earlier than I wanted to, but it was a good lap, and you know, the one car is going to be real fast. He was fast yesterday, but wherever that puts the fast small dive, we'll be all right with it, and we think we got a good car for tonight. So got it freed up good for tonight, and hopefully it'll be good in the long run.
What is it about this track, Reed, that just fits your style?
I don't know. I mean, you know, the guys provide a great car for us. Every time I've been here, I've had a good car, and, you know, 2 of the times I've had a great car, so hopefully we can have a great car again tonight, and I really enjoy racing here, so I think those 2 combined just, you know, ends up with a good situation where we can run good. So definitely got a shot at tonight. The competition's going to be tough. There's 10 guys out here that can win this race tonight, so it should be fun for the fans, and should be fun for all the drivers too.
All right, Reed Sorensen going for Ganassi Racing's 101 win here tonight.
Well, Josh Wise just finished up his lap, 14th quickest at 34.37. But folks, for those of you that have TiVo or are taping this, if you'll go back and watch Reed Sorensen's qualifying lap, he just pointed out that he didn't feel like he got through 1 and 2 quite as good. If you'll watch the tracker there, he wasn't as quick as Joey Logano through that. I didn't really think he was going to get the pole. He made up his time down in 3 and 4. So you think this man doesn't know his race car really well at this track? That's a perfect example of how good he knows what he's looking for here.
Wow, here goes Mike Bliss going way up the racetrack. You see, he gets out of the throttle, unlike James Busher when he got up there and didn't get out quick enough and got in the wall. Mike Bliss saved his car.
This was the car you just heard Reed Sorensen refer to. He said the one car is going to be awfully hard to beat because Mike Bliss, as Andy Petrie said, was the fastest car in the happy hour practice last night.
I think it's key what Reed Sorensen said is he didn't go in the corner hard. I think that might be key to him running fast because you just can't make up a lot of time getting in the corner. But boy, you can sure lose a lot of times. You can see from Mike Bliss's lap. He's got a better one going here.
But it's still hard that next time to drive that thing down in there. You know, it's hard. You don't want to do it, to mess up 2 laps because he knows that, the first lap he just had to throw away. He got his tires cleaned back off so he could make a reasonable lap here. But he's pretty much thinking that the pole's out of the way now. Let's just go out here and get a good solid lap.
Yeah, this car's really, really loose, which will pay off tonight. But right now, it's just tough to get it qualified.
Mike Bliss started on the outside front row 3 times this year. Hasn't had a pole since 2004, and that lap will put him 7th overall. The 27 cars that have gone thus far, we have 47 here. Still got 20 to go in qualifying. Still got a lot of racing to come your way here. Coming up tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2. NHRA Shucks Auto Supply Nationals qualifying. Our coverage, live to flag to flag coverage, NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Gateway, 9 o'clock Eastern time. How about Honda IndyCar Grand Prix at Mid-Ohio on ABC tomorrow at 1:30? And we have the NHRA National Finals tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. And, of course, Dale Jr. shifting gears on ESPN coming up Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Former winner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. It's been a while. Martinsville, Virginia was the win for Brad Teague back in the late 80s, and now driving for another legend, Jimmy Smut Means. And I asked Jimmy Means, I said, where did you get the name Smut? I mean, all the years we've heard Jimmy Smut Means, and you drove for Jimmy Means, right? In your first Cup race?
My second one, yeah. Richard Petty's 200th win at Daytona in 1984.
Jimmy told me, he said, everyone told me you're not going to be a smoky eunuch in terms of being a car builder, but you just might be a smut. So he said, so the nickname stuck. Let's go down with Mike.
And Doc, it's official, yes, as DJ alluded to, about half the field is from around here, and this is another one of those guys from Joplin, Missouri, of course, Jimmy McMurray. But you haven't been here since 2002. What's kept you away?
Well, just, I haven't run full-time in the Nationwide Series since then, so it's fun to come back to this part of the country. It's hard to explain to people what it's like when you come back to where you're from. Everything is familiar. I lived actually like 60 miles from here in St. Charles for like a year when I drove Mittler Brothers truck. So to come back to the St. Louis area, it's a lot of fun.
You haven't been here since 2002. I know I spoke with you briefly during practice, and you said something to the effect of how much this track has changed. What's changed about it?
Well, I just didn't remember it. When we pulled in, after landing at the airport, driving here, you come across the backstretch. I just don't remember the straightaways being so long. And then when you got out on the track, it's very narrow, and there's a wall on both sides, and it just seems like you're in a tunnel. And it took a little while to get used to that, and we don't run the right side window here, so the exhaust reflects off of that wall, and it's really loud inside the car. So it's a little bit like Phoenix. I mean, that's what everyone always wants to compare this to. But it took me an hour in the first practice to really get used to the place again, and Only made one qualifying run there. So, you know, you always kind of have markers picked out for qualifying where you're going to brake and how much you can roll the corner. And with these cars, it's so much different because you have to roll the corner so fast. You don't seem to use a lot of brakes. So I'm learning.
Well, good luck.
Okay, thanks.
Doc, in just a few moments, we'll find out just exactly how well Jamie McMurray has acclimated himself to this racetrack.
Thanks, Mike. And wow, you talk about rolling through the corners. They almost, Brad Keselowski rolled through sideways that corner a moment ago.
We heard him say that they did not make a mock qualifying run, so he didn't really know what he had. He knew right then what he had.
I'll get you a good second lap.
That's it. Great being youthful and knowing that you're going to go out there and get that second one. Well, you got a little bit loose getting into the corner this time. The last time it was getting off of turn 2. You can see the car wiggle right in the middle of 1 and 2. That's going to cost him some time here.
Yeah, this is the reason that most of these guys will make what we call a mock qualifying run in practice. So, you know, you really don't know how this car is going to act when you put all the tape on it and you do all the things you have to do to try to go fast. And, you know, that's probably some of the guys can handle that and know what to expect out of their car. But this seemed to hurt this team not doing a mock qualifying run.
Brad Keselowski, who got his first win at Nashville back on June 7th, got his first pole at Milwaukee on June 21st, and he will look like he will start somewhere in the top 20, probably 16th to 18th here tonight. Right now he's 16th quickest with a 34.391 second lap. But here's the first lap when it had to be a little hairy in the car.
That's got to be pretty hairy as a driver, Dale.
Yeah, it looked like his car was pretty good there for a second in the middle. And he felt so good, he just jumped in the gas hard.
Speaking of Missouri boys who come home to the Show Me State and want to show off a little bit, how about Shannon standing by with Carl Edwards?
Well, right here with Carl Edwards, currently second on the speed charts. Well, something just fell off your car. So, Carl, why is it so important to start up front here at St. Louis?
Well, I think it's really important to start up front in any of these races with the engine package and how close the competition is. It's really tough to pass. I mean, you know, I think back to Milwaukee when Brad Keselowski and Logano were side by side, you know, and ended up, you know, wrecking each other. It's really tough. So qualifying is important, and we focused on that a little bit more.
All right, so we got to talk about the bike ride that you made out here. This is the second year that you've done this. How are the legs right now?
The legs and the rear end are hurting pretty bad. And I was a little tentative to let the ESPN folks follow along with us, and I think if when you all see the footage, you'll understand why. It was a pretty funny group. My abs hurt pretty bad just from laughing at everybody so much. We had a good time.
All right, Carl Edwards, 4 of the last races have been won from the starting row, Doc.
Carl, a winner here back in 2006, dreamed of coming to the home track and winning it and pulled it off a couple of years ago. Here's David Strim. He's still dreaming of that first win, and he has been so close in his career. 3 second-place finishes, 2 of them coming this year.
One of the reasons these guys want to get a good qualifying lap is because of that pit position. They pick pits based on how they qualify. But here this week, it's even more important because these guys are going to pick pits the next 2 weeks, actually at ORP next week, based on how they qualify here at this race. And the reason for that is because they don't have a lot of time between qualifying in the race to be able to do that next week. So NASCAR decided to do it based on this week's qualifying. So that's doubly important.
And you want a good pick here, but you really want a good pick at ORP where it's very congested on pit road. 8th overall for David Strimmy. Good car in practice, probably a better car in the race. Now here's Mark Green, and we visited with Mark yesterday during the practice show, and he was one of the surprises of the early practice session.
We always seem to be surprised when Mark Green runs well, but he's doing it pretty consistently.
Yeah, and yeah, I had the opportunity last year to work with Mark Green early this year at some tests that he did for Michael Waltrip Racing. And yeah, this guy has a really good feel for a race car. And when you get around these type tracks where you really have to have a good feel and you're smooth with the steering wheel and the throttle and the brake pedal, he can excel. And so, yeah, I don't think we should be so surprised because he's a really good race driver.
Limited schedule this year for the Mary Louise Miller team out of Warsaw, Indiana. This is one of the few cars that's based up in the Midwest, and but they've done well. His best finish 5th at Talladega.
He's got another solid qualifying lap right here. It's going to be 19th on the first lap.
Again, these drivers must get in on time and speed. These are the first drivers. There are 47 cars here. 43 will start, 4 will go home. So here again, these are the guys that have got to be able to hang on and get good laps in to be able to get their speed in to get them in the show.
going to be just a little bit slower here on the second lap, but I believe that lap that he ran at 34.44 will be good enough to get him in the show tonight.
Yeah, I believe that would be fast enough. Again, conditions aren't going to cool off that much from now to the end of this session.
Qualifying ongoing here at Gateway International Raceway. Right now, Reed Sorensen's Dodge for Chip Ganassi is the quickest overall. What a special night for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. So many young guns getting another opportunity to show off because the NASCAR Sprint Cup stars, many of them are taking the weekend off. 9 o'clock Eastern time, can young Joey Logano get win number 2? Carl Edwards, the defending champ, is here. Points leader Clint Bowyer's here. And how about Reed Sorensen and that tough Dodge? That's won 2 of the last 3. All that action and more coming up 9 o'clock Eastern time right here on ESPN2. Andy Ponstein, next car to go out to qualify, and the former snowmobile racer out of Jenison, Michigan, 32 years of age, driving for Corey Stott.
It's about as far from snowmobile racing as you can possibly get here this afternoon at this
today,
racetrack.
boy, it's some kind of hot here today. I really like Andy. He comes to the racetrack driving his motorhome, and he's got a young family, got some young kids he brings around and hangs around the motorhome lot. It's really neat to see these guys traveling together.
Living a dream, and this Corey Stott, by the way, if you know Ramo Stott, that's the family we're talking about, Corey the son, and they're giving drivers from the Midwest opportunities. Like they said, they know this kid, Andy Ponstein, I should say, has a lot of ability, but you just got to give him some track time to get him on the racetrack.
Yeah, Corey's a great guy. I worked with Corey back a long time ago when I worked on Benny Parsons' team. He was part of our little shop that we had there, and I've spent a lot of time with Corey. He's a great mechanic.
He slowed down a little bit on his second lap, but it'd be interesting to see. You know, we have no idea really because, again, a lot of the guys didn't make these mock qualifying runs yesterday, and again, the temperatures weren't nearly as hot as what they are here today to see how that's going to stack up and will that time get him into the race.
This Casey Atwood is one of the guys that was one of the young guns a few years ago and drove for Evernham, had a bright future, but seemed to just get derailed a little bit. He lost his ride and trying to get back in this series and be competitive again. He's got a lot of talent, and he might be able to get back there if he can just land a solid ride, and he's got an opportunity with this team right here. It's Ken Christopher on your right.
He was the youngest winner in series history when he won at Milwaukee back in July of 1999, 18 years, 10 months, and 26 days of age. He's a former pole sitter at this racetrack. Won the pole here back in 1999, so he knows the racetrack, getting a shot to get back in a pretty good race car here for this race tonight.
That's Ken Christensen. I said that wrong. That's his crew chief.
Not a bad lap. Got him in 26th on his first and 34.67. And you look, and we know the name, and he's been around, seems like so long, but he's still only 27 years old. It's amazing. So it's a young man that still has a lot of talent, and is just looking for that right opportunity. And he is a very nice young man, and a young man that has a lot of talent, and you hope that he gets that right opportunity to show that.
Everyone thought he was the next Jeff Gordon when he came along. The young guy with so much talent, ability, and it just didn't seem to be able to get the connections, all the dots to connect there on the rides that he had. Now maybe getting a chance to circle back into the series again.
And right now he is the fastest of the go or go home cars that have qualified so far in 17th, so that should be a good enough lap to get him in the race.
Yeah, it hasn't locked him in yet, but it will put him racing tonight, and with a decent starting spot. This always has to be difficult when you're out there in this position trying to go out and you haven't been in the cars that much and trying to make a really good qualifying lap. And so you like to see what these guys are made of. This kind of tells exactly what they can do. So we see Johnny Chapman the next on the track.
Here's the 90 car, Johnny Chapman, and this team had issues yesterday. They had a fire, pretty significant fire here with gas backing up through the carburetor into the breather and back onto the headers, and they had some issues to deal with down in the garage here.
And a lot of times it's just a a people mistake that happens. You got fuel lines going up there to the carburetor and a lot of things like that. And it's all about the details when you're working on these race cars. Something real small like that can cause you a big problem, and it did for these guys yesterday.
Yeah, as you can see, they have no sponsors on the car, so you know they're working on a very limited budget. And I was talking to Johnny in the garage area yesterday, and he was talking about how difficult it's been for them to get this coil binding effort figured out because there is so much to it. You can talk about it. It sounds pretty simple. Okay, let's just put springs in there. They're going to go down there, and they're going to, it's going to coil bind when we get down in the corner. But there's a lot more to it than that, and they were having a difficult time figuring that out.
By the way, these are the go or go home cars that we have to get on time and speed. We mentioned earlier that Derek Cope was on the 5-minute clock early on and did not get to go. I said he will not be able to go tonight. I mean, he did not be able to go in qualifying. He will be in the race. The Jay Robinson car will get in by virtue of owner's points. Just the fact that Derek Cope was not given a chance to qualify because they couldn't get the car ready to go within the 5 minutes that NASCAR allows.
That's a lap that may be borderline, that 34.86. Could be borderline for getting in the show.
Next car to go out, Brad Baker, who is the son of Gary Baker, who is the co-owner of Baker Curb Motorsports. Brad lives in Bristol and Johnson City area, just down from the racetrack. Let's check in with Shannon.
Well, guys, down here in the garage, you see the number 32 car. Of course, there was some damage. James Boucher had some problems on qualifying, did not make a qualifying lap, hit the wall. You saw that they did start to take out the backup car, but the teams down here, they're going to try to get this primary out there. I talked to Trent Owens, crew chief. He said there's no frame damage on this car, so they're going to work on it, try to get it out. They will have to start at the back of the field, but as you can see, James there in the back of the car looking on as his crew goes to work on this 32. They are going to get the primary back out there.
Well, that's good news. I mean, it can save you a race car because if they, this one's already torn up. If they go out and put a backup car in the race and happen to have a problem with it, then you've got two wrecked race cars you bring back. So it makes sense if it's not bent, the frame's not bent, you can fix that car to where it'll be competitive.
Yeah, it looked like they had a lot of help from a lot of different teams and people jumping in there. And that's, basically what the NASCAR community is about. When somebody has problems, it's interesting to watch as you see different people come in there and help and try to work to make that happen. But there's a lot of work they have to do with that, Andy. I mean, rear end housing, front end suspension and things, so there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, they got to put some parts on the car, but I think they'll be fine. If they get all this stuff back lined up properly, they can get this car to be competitive tonight.
Repairs continuing, qualifying ongoing in just a moment. Back at Gateway International, just a few cars left to go out to qualify, and the 84 car was normally driven by Mike Harmon. It will be Kevin LePage in this car, the Shelburne, Vermont driver, two-time winner here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series in his career, and he's got a handful there trying to get this car to turn.
It looks like he doesn't even have a sway bar on the car. It probably is something wrong with that sway bar system because that car's rolling over way too much. And you can see now why we run such big sway bars. The car really wants to turn over. This car here is either not got a sway bar hooked up or something's really wrong right here. The car is not supposed to roll over that much.
Yeah. Had that to happen. That's a bad feeling as a driver. You're wondering exactly, you make a change or something, and obviously this is the worst time for something like that to happen. If you're in practice, you'd brought it in immediately, but Kevin doesn't have that option right now. He's trying to get this car in the race.
Yeah, he has to make a lap, a good enough lap to get him in the race. It's going to be a difficult thing to do with this car handling like it is.
He's got to beat a 34.44 to get into the bubble. He does not do it. Casey Atwood locked in. Mark Green is locked in. And right now, Kevin LePage is the slowest of the cars of the go-or-go-homers that are going to have to qualify thus far. 4 of those cars are going to go home, so he's got to have hope that 4 of these cars coming up will run slower than a 35.87.
And that's not likely to happen. That's probably going to be a lap that's going to fall short of making the race.
Speaking of supreme efforts, 66-year-old Morgan Shepherd out of Conover, North Carolina. Talk about a guy who works so hard with so few people and does so much with so little. Shepherd here in the Dodge, the 15-time winner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Really, loves to be here and is just so thankful for the opportunity to be here and be a part of racing.
You were just saying, I always had this saying, he's done so much with so little for so long, he's now qualified to do anything with nothing. He does a lot with a little, Morgan does. He works so hard on his cars, and that's all I've ever known Morgan Shepherd to do is race.
Yeah, that's all he knows, and that's all he wants to do. And Jerry, he was telling us yesterday, they brought this car here with a pickup truck and trailer, not a hauler. They had some issues there, and they brought this with just a pickup truck and trailer, the way that things used to be done a long time ago. But he's getting in a pretty decent lap here.
Yeah, if he can beat the 38, and he's done it. He's locked himself in the field, so good job for coming across country with a pickup truck and a trailer and a car that he was given by Kevin Harvick. This is the car that Kevin and Delana Harvick gave him, and even put the Dodge sheet metal on for, because everybody appreciates what Morgan Shepherd is trying to do, and they appreciate what Morgan Shepherd did for them when they were coming up. So the car from Kevin Harvick, some free help and some volunteer people, and Morgan Shepherd has qualified to race here at Gateway tonight.
Yeah, first lap felt good. He's getting some more in the second lap.
He surely is, and he's very appreciative of all the help that people give him. I talk to him in the garage quite often, and he is just so gracious and appreciative for the people that do help him continue to race. That's what he loves to do.
Not bad at all. 19th overall for Morgan Shepherd out of the 37 cars that are presented for qualifying. So he's locked in along with Casey Atwood and Mark Green. Let's go down with Shannon.
Well, here with Jason Keller, and here at Gateway, Jason, you finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. How's the car here today?
Well, it's actually pretty good. We didn't make a mock qualifying run, so really didn't know what to expect. So Todd does a great job every week, but the communication's getting better and better as far as I don't have to make a mock qualifying run to kind of adjust the car. So it's just really proud of this entire team and what we're being able to do. And we've had some good qualifying runs of late, but we still want a little bit more.
Now, this is your 11th start here, but we have a lot of drivers who are making their first and maybe their second start here at Gateway. How difficult is this track for a young driver?
Well, it's tough. It really is. And although it's only the 200 laps, it's a long 200 laps. So you got to conserve your brakes a little bit, conserve your car, make sure you don't burn the right front off of it. But I'm going to play on numbers. If it's my 11th start and I'm driving car number 11, hopefully it's the magical start. It's what I'm hoping for. And I'd like to say hi to Deb and Joe and Jade back home. They're hanging out back home watching and expecting big things.
All right, well, he said 11 is his lucky number. Right now it's 6, Doc, and that's where he is right now on the qualifying board.
Yeah, leads all drivers in top 5s and top 10s here. Talking about Jason Keller, and of course, 2 second-place finishes, 3rd twice. Here's Brian Keselowski. He is the older brother by just about 2 years from Brad, out trying to qualify the car that he owns, his Dodge, and he is currently 23rd overall, and he will lock himself into the field. Lots of motorsports coverage coming your way tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern time. NHRA action, qualifying, NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Gateway, live flag to flag, 9 o'clock Eastern. IndyCar action tomorrow from Mid-Ohio, 1:30 Eastern time on ABC. ESPN2 action for the NHRA Shucks Auto Supply Nationals Finals tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. And don't forget, folks, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, Dale Jr. shifting gears. You don't want to miss this episode. That's over on ESPN. Back in a moment. Back at Gateway International Raceway, NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying ongoing. How about hearing from a guy we've heard off and on from this year, a fellow who's brought us over the wall for some up-close and personal pit stops. DJ Kopp out of Ontario, New York.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey guys, how are you? I'm going to bring a different view to all the viewers at home. There's the exit to their pit box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
DJ Kopp changing those tires.
Whoa, tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now DJ joins us from down inside the tech center to explain some of the rules between qualifying and race procedure.
Hey Doc, some of the adjustments these teams are going to be able to make but after qualifying before the race are the track bar. Now I'm guessing most of these guys are going to be taking rounds up on this track bar, lifting that right side of it up. They can only adjust the right side to help the car rotate a little bit through the center of the corner and up off. Another adjustment they can make, they come down here, quick air pressure adjustment to all 4 corners of the cars to whatever the team would like. Also, they could open the hood up under supervision of an official or go into the back end of the car, reach down in, and adjust the shock. They cannot change the shock, but they can adjust it with these adjusters that are built in on the bottom of the shocks. So that's some of the adjustments they can do. But probably the most important thing they'll do is they'll come over here and take that tape off that they use for qualifying and rip it all the way off. Back up to you, Doc.
Thank you, DJ, because these cars are impounded after qualifying, so it's very limited what you can do. And here's a look at some of the things that you can't do.
And these are some of the things that you would do if you could to qualify. You would change your shocks and springs, probably different sway bars, and the cambers, the way you angle the front tires and the front end geometry, and also you would move that weight forward and backward in the car. But you can't do that under these impound rules, and that's what makes it so difficult for some of these teams to get that car balanced for qualifying.
Qualifying ongoing, by the way. Here's Jeremy Clements out to qualify his first lap of 35.92. That will not get it done. Just a moment ago, Larry Gunzelman went out and put his car in the show, the zero car for Gunzelman. He qualified a 34.642, and he is currently 27th, the former West Coast driver.
Looks like Jeremy's going to get in on this lap, though. He's got a good second lap, and it does lock himself in. 34.60, 26 overall. That's a pretty good lap. Going to race this weekend.
Yeah, son of Tony Clements, Clements Automotive out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. The grandfather, the legendary Crawford Clements, who was a crew chief for many, many years with some of the legends in NASCAR, Bobby Isaac and such, back in the day.
He just missed the field last week at Chicago. He was the first car to get bumped, but he gets in this week, and I'm sure those guys are happy.
Just joined our coverage. Reed Sorensen is the pole sitter thus far. The Chip Ganassi, Felix Sabates on Dodge. He's the winner here a year ago. 33.81 the lap for Sorensen, making only his second start of the year in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Used this win a year ago and then momentum to launch him toward a pole at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard, where our coverage begins next weekend. Justin Hopgood on the clock for the car number 91.
Tracking himself in the green just till he gets to turn 3. Loses a little bit of time with Chapman, which is his teammate, I might add.
Yeah, if he's got to beat Johnny Chapman a 34.86 to get himself in, but that's the good news. The bad news is
that's his teammate.
He bumps his teammate.
And he does not get in with that lap, so that should lock in Johnny Chapman. Well, that's the first time. He's got another shot here.
Yeah, he's got a shot.
Still got another shot.
Yeah, and the track temp has come down a little bit more, Andy. We're down. We started at 136, as we told you earlier, down to 117. So that's pretty significant right now for these guys that are trying to drive their way in on this qualifying lap.
And also, we got Jamie McMurray coming up here in just a couple of cars. He'll have a shot at the pole. He's probably the last car that Reed Sorensen's worried about.
Yeah, Justin Hopgood's made a good adjustment here on his second lap, too, that's going to get him into the show right now.
And he does it, DJ. You made the call. 34.71. Where did that come from?
Well, I think he probably messed that first lap up just a little bit. Adjusted.
Yeah.
Got it back on the second. Shannon?
Yeah, guys, standing up on top of the 40 pit stall right now, you can see Brad Parrott. They are basically watching the cloud coverage, waiting for that 17 to go out. They are aware of how much the track has cooled off since the beginning of qualifying. Actually, Brad Parrott just said it's 117 now. It was 136 when we started. Right now, as you can see, the sun is coming out, and Brad is getting happy. He thinks that 17 is a potential to knock this 40 off the pole here.
Well, Shannon, it could be an omen because both of Reed Sorensen's wins, he started second. So if he doesn't start on the pole, that might even be better for them. I don't know. I guess you always want to get a pole if you're a crew chief and a driver. What am I thinking?
You always want to be up front.
Who said that?
Give up anything.
That's what Dale Jarrett was telling you a moment ago. You saw how the track temperature is coming down. And again, the race comes up at 9 o'clock Eastern time of night. Much cooler. And here is Curtis Davis in the J. Robinson on Chevy. He's got to get this car in time and speed. And talk about bouncing. Now, this car is really moving, entering the corner.
That's a harsh setup. Those cars running this coil-bound setup, and that's what makes it so hard to work right, because you want those springs down collapse on each other, but you got to have the car where it will drive over the bumps, and that's what makes it so hard. It's easy to get the car down, but it's hard to make the car drive well over the bumps. Yeah. This car's not handling the bumps very well.
No, he got himself into the show on the first lap, though, but you could see earlier in that lap that he had a really good cushion, as he does right now. With it, it'll be interesting to see if he adjusts some going into turn 3. Now, that car bouncing that much, it's going to be hard to make that adjustment, but he makes it through there better, so he's going to get himself a better starting spot for tonight's race.
Yeah, he's got a good lap going here right here. He's already locked in on that first lap, but he moved way over on the sheet. He's over 18th spot with that second lap.
They had a lot of tape on there too, as you could see a little bit of steam coming out on the right front of that car where the overflow
Yeah, he is the second fastest now of all the cars that have to qualify on time, next to Casey Atwood. So good run for Curtis Davis. His dad, Johnny Davis, owns a couple of cars here in the series. Now here's the car that has to get on time and speed, but it is NASCAR Sprint Cup regular Jamie McMurray out of Joplin, Missouri. Another one of the Missouri drivers, and got to expect him to do well here on the home track.
Yeah, but you know, the only thing that I would think that Brad and Reed could feel good about right now is that Jamie has to qualify on time, so he can't. If he gets in a good first lap, then he might really go after that second lap. But he has to be a little bit more conservative to make sure that he does get himself into the show.
Pierre Cattell, championship crew chief from a year ago when he called the shots for Carl Edwards.
There's Brad Parrott now. You're watching him. He's trying to not pay attention. He's writing stuff down. What could he be writing down? He's just nervous. He doesn't want to watch.
Yeah, he learned well from older brother Todd there. They're a lot alike in those ways there. And you can see Jamie, the lap trailer here is based against pole sitter Reed Sorensen, so he's not far off of him.
Oh, you can see he doesn't want to look. He says, don't tell me. It's third, Brad. So far, so good.
We got another lap to go.
Yeah, better hold your breath for one more lap. 33.93.
Okay, what Brad Parrott is doing is he's clocking segment times. He can tell what kind of lap this is going to be by just clocking the segment times. If he's clocking this segment, he knows it's going to be a good one.
You might want to hide your eyes, Brad Parrott, because he is on a lap to put this thing on the pole. Oh, he just slipped a little bit between 3 and 4.
Yeah, but got back in the gas hole.
I think I got it.
Oh, Jamie thinks he has it. Does he?
Oh, no, here he comes, and he did it.
You got it. 3380. Great job, guys. Good job, Jamie.
The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat over there with Brad Parrott.
Hey, somebody needs to tell Brad. I'm sure he knows, but Reed started second the other 2 times that he won this race, so it's not as bad as it seems.
And how about that job by Jamie McMurray?
He just told somebody they're not allowed in his truck again. They brought him bad luck.
He just threw the camera off the top of the truck. Okay. Great job by Pierre Cattell and this 17 crew for that guy, Jamie McMurray, right now on the pole. 33.809 seconds.
Yeah, 3/1000ths of a second is what he beat him by there. So that's as close as it can get. But a great job by Jamie McMurray.
We told you there was going to be drama at the end of this session.
You see, he drove it off into the corner. You see the car bounce a little bit. Watch his hands. That car is loose right there. But he stayed in the gas. We saw the tracker show that he got back to the gas really hard off of there. So that wasn't something that car was just perfect and Jamie was riding around just giving it the gas when he needed to. He worked for that.
He was up on that wheeling that car.
We'll visit with Jamie in a moment. Meanwhile, let's go watch the 30 car of Stanton Barrett go out to qualify.
Johnny Chapman still the car to beat if you're going to lock yourself in the race.
That's the way to do it, though. Go lock yourself in by taking the pole.
That's it. Here, Stanton Barrett now has locked himself in with his first lap. He's got a little better second lap going.
They did, by the way, bump the 84 car of Kevin LePage, the car he was driving for Mike Harmon, so he will not start the race tonight.
Picked it up just a little bit. About 0.04 of a second on this second lap. 25th right now, but a good qualifying effort for Stanton Barrett.
Still a few cars left to go. We'll find out who's going to make it in the show and who goes home, and if anybody has a shot at Jamie McMurray. Welcome back to Gateway International Raceway here in Madison, Illinois. Along with Shannon Spake, Mike Massaro, Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us for NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying. Here's Ruben Pardo, driver from Mexico City, Mexico, former NASCAR Camping World East Series Rookie of the Year back in 2006. An accomplished road racer, but trying to get more and more oval track time, and this is a good place to learn here on a flat track here in St. Louis.
It's the second car for Armando Fitz' team, and this guy does a pretty good job of qualifying the car. Ruben does. He doesn't get a lot of time on the racetrack and racing, but he does a good job of qualifying, and he locks himself in there with that first lap, and that bumps out Andy Ponstein.
By the smallest of margins, but the main thing is he's going to race tonight and get experience now to see what it's like to go for 250 miles, hopefully.
And while you watch Ruben qualify, let's check in with a guy who's got to be really happy right now, crew chief Pierre Cattell.
That's right, second race with this 17 team, first race with Jamie McMurray. So tell me, how much were you holding your breath during that second lap?
Man, qualifying's always tough. I get up, just my stomach knots up and everything. Even when, I was on the 16, we were in the show, it was always a tough thing. Qualifying is the most painful 2 minutes I think I go through in the whole weekend. But it's great. All the guys did a great job. Jamie is doing a fantastic job for us, so it's a good feeling. It's good to be up top.
All right, well, right now it looks like that number 17 has got his first pole. PK on that 17, guys.
And if you're not familiar with the story, Pierre Cattell and Drew Blickensderfer were crew chiefs and swapped positions from the 17 to the 60.
And that's Jack Roush is one of the smartest guys I know as far as an owner. He took some two guys and they were not having the greatest of success. He switches them automatically. He's got now a win with the 60 car and a pole for Jamie McMurray.
Pardo 34th overall, and that'll be enough to get him in. Next car to attempt is Nick Tucker in the 57 car. He is the cousin to Derek Cope and a full-time employee.
Well, I don't believe they're going to be able to fix that car.
No, the car owned by Mike Egge. I start saying Nick is a full-time employee for Gillette Evernham Motorsports, and that one's going to take some work back at the shop.
Yeah, that's too bad right there. It shows you just how hard it is to get these cars qualified. You just have to drive down in the corner, hope it sticks.
Yeah, and he got really down into the corner really, really hard there. And it's just, you run out of grip with the tires. You see he was trying to let the car roll through there as much as possible and just gets away. It's a hard lesson for a young man.
Tough break for the young man trying to break into the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and this driver got to be loving the home folks here from Joplin, Missouri. Right now he is the quickest car overall. Signed some autograph for some fans down trackside. Back in a moment. NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying, and go if you're a Roush Fenway guy, you love seeing that because that means the War Wagon, the pit wagon, headed down to position number 1 on pit road. You get the first pick if you're the pole sitter. These guys obviously know there's still a car or two left to go, but these guys know that they should have it. 33.809 is what has to be beaten. Here's the last car to go out to qualify. That is the 31 of Kenny Hendrick, and based on practice times, Kenny should not be able to beat Jamie McMurray, but stranger things have happened.
Well, he got real looser in the same spot we just saw Nick Tucker crash his car. So the track's slick down there for some reason. So far, Kenny Hendrick's going to have to pick it up a little bit now if he's going to get in this show. Got to beat Brad Baker.
He does that through 3 and 4 right now. As you can see, he picked it up. He got back to the throttle really good.
He does it. He bumps out Brad Baker, gets in the field in 37th spot so far.
Nice job for Kenny Hendrick. He grew up as a road racer and a short track racer out in California, driving the second car owned by Stanton Barrett.
There's 1 and 2 getting some problems, but he's going to have 200 laps tonight to figure that corner out just a little bit better.
If he makes it through here, somebody needs to tell him his crew, whoa now, don't wreck this car. We're already in the race. I was going to say, his crew chief needs to tell him that, hey, we're in here. Don't wreck it.
Yeah, we're here. We're not going home unless you mess it up. There, a checkered flag. Thankfully for Kenny Hendrick, he gets a checkered flag, gets to slow down. So the cars that will not make it are the 37 of Brad Baker, the 02, and that is Ponstein, Andy Ponstein. The 84, that's Kevin LePage, and the 57, the damaged car of Nick Tucker. And here's our top 3 qualifiers. Reigning series champion Carl Evers, who won here in 2006. Boy from Columbia, Missouri. Car bouncing around, but quick enough. The 2-time winner here, the Ganassi Sabatis Dodge for Reed Sorensen. Where did he start both times he won? You guessed it, second, which is where he will start tonight. And on the pole for Roush Fenway Racing, here comes the 17 at Jamie McMurray. And watch Brad Parrott, who thought his Dodge was going to be on the pole. Oh, I can't believe he beats us. Let's go down to Mike.
And Doc, before he went out, Jamie McMurray said he had to refamiliarize himself with this racetrack since he hasn't been here since 2002. It didn't look like he forgot much.
Well, I tell you, when I ran my first lap, I thought, I'll be lucky to make the show with that lap. It felt so bad. And PK told me my time coming off turn 2, and I thought, I knew the pole wasn't much quicker than that. So when I came off turn 4, I thought that's got to be a couple tenths better than my first lap. So really excited. It's my first race with PK, and it's cool in front of the people that you grew up, racing late models just right down the road. I've had people bring programs from 10 years ago and signing them, and it's fun to get to race in front of those people. And I don't know, it's just anytime you sit on the pole, you're excited.
Of course, this is just step one. I would imagine you want nothing more than to get a victory in front of this hometown crowd. What do you have in race trim?
I think we'll be good. I'll tell you, Greg and Matt have run so well in the City Financial car that they put a lot of pressure on you to perform. But our car was, I thought we had a 5th place car last night, but I didn't think we had any chance at the pole. So you never know. Track position is going to be, as important as ever tonight. I've watched these races on my off weekends in the past, and it's a challenge to pass here, and it seems like it goes green for a long time, so you don't have a lot of adjustments to make to your car. So hopefully you'll start out good, and I think we'll be fine.
Track position certainly will be key, but nobody has better track position to start this race than Jamie McMurray. Shannon?
Well, Mike, the 40 car is starting on the front row as well. Not on the pole, but definitely on the front row. And we saw the emotion on your face standing up there on the hauler watching Jamie McMurray go out for his run. What was that like for you as a crew chief, knowing that cloud coverage was coming and going?
It's the same for everybody. I'm just happy that the Fastenal Dodge could be on the front row. I called Chip last night, and I said look for us on the front row. Plus, it helps our starting position as far as our pit position pick for next week at ORP with Brian Clausen. So, I can't thank all the guys on this team back at the shop and here at the racetrack, the effort they put in here the last 2 days. We know we got a fast race car. We just missed the pole by a little bit, and congratulations to Jamie and PK.
And he started from the 2nd spot last year and went on to win the race, guys.
So look out for a shootout tonight. Sorensen and McMurray on the front row. Now you see the qualifiers at the top of your screen going across. Joey Logano will start 4th. There's the points leader, Clint Boyer. I tell you, I'm impressed. Jason Keller back in 7th spot in the 11 car. He has the most top 5s of anyone at this racetrack.
And he might be able to get another one tonight. And Landon Castle back there in 11th spot. He's going to be our in-race reporter. We'll hear from him.
Mike Wallace, 13th, looking for a great night. David Rudman, who had to go out early, 14th.
And another one there, Brad Coleman. This is a good starting spot, good solid starting spot for him.
And if you want to watch early in the show, that 29 car that was the pole sitter a year ago and led for the first 53 laps, Scott Wimmer, well, folks, he is starting way back in 28th position. So it should be fun to watch Scott Wimmer come up through the pack. Again, McMurray on the pole. There is the top 10. David Reagan out on the outside of row 5. As you look at where they qualified, guys, your thoughts about what we're going to see tonight. Now, it's going to be a lot cooler at 9 o'clock Eastern time when we go to drop the green flag.
Yeah, a lot of times you wonder, a guy that gets on the pole, that maybe he's got his car a little bit too tight for night conditions, but the way Jamie McMurray saw it on his steering wheel, I don't think that car was tight. So it'll be interesting to see as these guys start making adjustments on those pit stops.
Yeah, we'll see some cars coming up through the pack like Scott Wimmer. That's going to make it exciting for everybody.
For Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Jerry Punch, once again congratulating Jamie McMurray on his very first pole of the season and inviting you to join us tonight right here 9 o'clock Eastern time for flag-to-flag coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Gateway International Raceway. Coming up next, 2008 San Diego Handicap from Del Mar, California. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Once again, for the 4th time this year, it is a Roush Fenway Ford on the pole. McMurray will lead him down at 9 o'clock tonight. So long, everybody.